Friends of Roller Derby, you are tuned into ColoradoSports.TV for tonight's Roller Derby game between the Heartland Hellcats from North Platte, Nebraska, visiting the Front Range Roller Derby team. It's a new team. We are at the Foothills Fieldhouse in Lakewood, Colorado, and if you are not legally and in bounds. The first jammer through is almost always declared lead jammer, giving them the right to call off the jam at any time by tapping their hips. If they do not do so, or if there is no lead jammer, and there's a few reasons that might be, then the jam lasts a maximum of 2 minutes and is called off by the officials. Either way, whenever the jam ends, there are 30 seconds to reset on the track, and we do it all over again. So the camera right now is located in what we call turn number 1, in front of where all of the skaters will line up. I'm lined up behind turn number 4 so that I can tell you who will be jamming during the course of each jam. I hope you are enjoying the broadcast tonight. We will be bringing you the action as it occurs. Front Range Roller Derby is a relatively new entity. They formed from a merger between the Castle Rock and Rollers from Castle Rock, Colorado, and 303 Roller Derby, which was a recreational league here more in the Denver area, towards the south side of the Denver area. So they are going to retain their WFTDA membership, their Women's Flat Track Derby Association membership, and will return to competitive play at some point. Right now they're getting organized here. So lined up on the jammer line, the first jammer for Front Range is number 8, Agent Smith, competing against she's in the center of the track talking to somebody, so it appears to be number 22, Jamie Buffett, will be taking the first star for the Heartland Hellcats. The other skaters on the track, besides the jammers, are the blockers. They constitute the pack, and they are playing offense and defense simultaneously, trying to open paths for their own jammer and close off the paths for the opposing jammers. One of the blockers is wearing a striped helmet cover. That's the pivot. The pivot has the special power of being able to accept a star pass from the jammer and become the new jammer. Okay, so now I seem to have a typo on my roster because it is Jamie Buffett lined up to jam, but it's number 29, not number 22. I'll fix that in my highly unofficial statistics program. And I'll try to give you some statistics from time to time. We're gearing up for the first jam of the game. There's the whistle, and play has begun. Jamie Buffett is pushing at the front of the pack towards the back. Jamie Buffett is the first one through, and the whistle and the point from the jam referee indicates that she is, in fact, lead jammer and has the right to call off the jam. Agent Smith has just made it out of the pack and is also able to score now. We see our first penalty of the game. Appears to be number 72, Autumn Bomb, going to sit in the penalty box for 30 seconds. Penalties are assessed for blocking out of bounds, for illegal forms of contact, and a few other things. So getting through the pack and calling off the jam is Jamie Buffett. 4 points for the Heartland Hellcats. That's the first points of the game. We need to get confirmation on the official scoreboard that is, in fact, all of the points that were earned during that jam. Lined up next, we've got number 3, Intensive Scare for the Heartland Hellcats, number 917, Princess Pow Pow for Front Range. And now the scoreboard mirrors what I think it should. We've got a 4-0 lead for the visitors from Nebraska after one jam. However, Princess Pow Pow is the first jammer through on this jam and is earned lead. Intensive Scare is through the pack as well, coming around back across the jammer line and the pivot line, coming up on the back of the pack. Princess Pow Pow does not get it called off in time to prevent Intensive Scare from scoring, and so Intensive Scare picks up 4 points for the Heartland Hellcats. Princess Pow Pow is trying to get past the pivot at the front of the pack, does so, calls off the jam, And we'll see that, in fact, 2 more points picked up by the Hellcats and 4 for Front Range. So both teams on the board now score, according to my highly unofficial score does not match what the scoreboard says, so I might have gotten that second set of scoring wrong. I will fix that in a moment. Right now we have number 5280 on the line for Front Range. That's Dynamite Lucy. Her opponent is number 72, Autumn Bomb, with the star for the Heartland Hellcats. Okay, the score now matches what I have. It's 10-6 lead for the visitors. And lead jammer is Autumn Bomb for the visitors. So far, pretty successful game for the visiting team. Through the pack for 5 points and calling off the jam. Okay. That's awarded as 5-4 on the jam, which I think will end up showing the scoreboard 15-10, but although it does not yet. Okay. So forgive the discrepancy here. Still trying to get things sorted out. Number 8, Agent Smith, once again jamming for Front Range against, this time, number 1, tearing it up for the visitors. And Agent Smith is through first. Lead jammer already most of the way around the track. Tearing it up is just now getting out of the pack and is clear to score. So this would be a great time for Agent Smith to call it off. She does so. Picks up I haven't seen the signal on the points yet, but the scorekeepers did, and it's 4 points for Front Range. So we have 15-12 on the scoreboard, advantage visiting team. So far the jams have been short. They've been called off quickly. That gives the opportunity for a lot of action during the first period of play. The officials have called timeout, stopping the clock at 25 minutes and 20-some seconds. Okay, 23 seconds on the scoreboard. Officials can call timeout whenever they need to, for as long as they need to get matters sorted out on the track. Each team can call timeout 3 times during the game. They can only call timeout during the period between jams, and it stops the clock for 60 seconds. In addition, each team has an official review per period that can be used to question a call or the lack of a call. If they successfully convince the officials to change their mind on whatever the topic is, then they get that official review back and can use it again. Although that only works once per period. You can't ever have more than 2 official reviews per period. So thank you once again for tuning in to ColoradoSports.TV coverage of the Heartland Hellcats of North Platte, Nebraska, visiting the Front Range Roller Derby from right here in, they kind of split their time between Lakewood and Castle Rock, Colorado. My name is Mark Bradford. I'll be bringing you tonight's action. The officials are discussing various topics in the center of the track. If we're lucky, we might hear what that's about, but it's a pretty sparse crew tonight, so I don't think they'll have any official who's dedicated to bringing me that information. Okay, we are gearing up for the next jam of the game. We got Princess Pow Pow, number 917, on the jammer line for Front Range, taking on number 29, Jamie Buffett, for the Heartland Hellcats. Whistle starts the jam. Pushing at the front is Jamie Buffett. First one through, lead jammer. That, by my, again, unofficial count, is 3 of the 5 jams. The lead has gone to the visitors so far. Jamie Buffett tries to get through the pack on the inside line, is blocked into the infield, and has to recycle all the way back to the back of the pack. What you don't want to do in this circumstance is come onto the track in front of somebody who was ahead of you to begin with, because that is considered to be improperly gaining advantage. It's the shorthand for it is called cutting the track, and that is a penalty. And in fact, a penalty has now been assessed to Jamie Buffett, who is going to sit in the penalty box for 30 seconds. The fact that Jamie Buffett had been lead and has now been penalized means that we are not going to have a lead jammer on this jam. It will go the full 2 minutes. The officials will end the jam as the jam clock expires. Now, I mentioned before that there was a pivot who can accept a pass of the star helmet cover and become the jammer. That's exactly what has happened on Front Range. The star has been passed to number 53, Tragic, who has become the jammer for Front Range. Has made it all the way around the track and is in the pack scoring points. Jamie Buffett has gotten out of the penalty box, come back on, gotten through the pack, and picked up 5 points for the visiting team. Tragic is now through of the pack and is awarded 4 points, which are matched by 4 more points picked up by Jamie Buffett as the 2 minutes of the jam expire. So without going into too much detail, the scoreboard reading doesn't match what I've been tracking myself, and so I'm not sure what's going on there. But the official scoreboard is the official scoreboard. We're seeing number 5280, Dynamite Lucy, with the jammer star for Front Range, taking on Intensive Scare, number 3, for the Heartland Hellcats. Intensive Scare through first, lead jammer. Lucy making it out of the pack and clear to score for Front Range. But 4 points collected by Intensive Scare, calling off the jam. And let's see if what happens here on the scoreboard will give you a clue as to the circumstances. By my unofficial reckoning, yes, it is 28-16, which matches the scoreboard, but the scoreboard has the teams switched. So I believe that it's 28 points for the Heartland Hellcats and 16 points for Front Range Roller Derby, although that is the reverse of what is on the scoreboard display. And now, and it looks like the coach for the Heartland Hellcats is pointing out exactly that circumstance, that the points are reversed, and so they'll get that sorted out. Thank you again for tuning in to ColoradoSports.TV for tonight's coverage from the Foothills Fieldhouse in Lakewood, Colorado, of the Heartland Hellcats from North Platte, Nebraska, taking on Front Range Roller Derby from right here at the south end of Denver, Colorado, splitting their time between Lakewood, Colorado, and Castle Rock, Colorado. My name is Mark Bradford. I have been announcing roller derby for a significant period of time. I'm actually affiliated with a different league here in the area, but I'm guest announcing for ColoradoSports.TV. Okay, we're lining up for the next jam of the game. Number 8, Agent Smith, who has been jamming quite a bit for Front Range. This is Agent Smith's 3rd time with a star, while it's the first time out there for Grindin' Zone. And the score has been corrected on the scoreboard, I believe. We're waiting for the officials to get sorted out. So, roller derby has been growing now. The modern flat track version of roller derby dates back to about 2004 in Texas. The Texas Roller Girls are acknowledged as the first of the modern flat track leagues. And for a number of years, many teams, leagues in the world have been members of the WFTDA, the Women's Flat Track Derby Association. There's a corresponding MRDA, Men's Roller Derby Association, and then there are many junior skaters who are members of the JR Association. All of these three associations skate under the same rule set that is jointly governed by them, and those are the rules that I'm going to be explaining to you during the course of the evening. It is the most commonly used rule set in modern flat track derby, but there are others, and there are also modern bank track leagues still in existence, the most famous of which are probably the LA Derby Dolls and the San Diego Derby Dolls, but also Texas Roller Derby and a number of others. So they appear to be gearing up for the next jam. As I mentioned before, it's number 8, Agent Smith, in the black of Front Range Roller Derby. In the red of the Heartland Hellcats, we've got number 8-4, Grindin' Zone with the Jammer Star. That whistle is going to start the jam. The Heartland Hellcats are down by 1 blocker in the penalty box. It happens to be their pivot, number 9, Miss Maladjusted. The pivot in this jam for Front Range is number 169, Rocket Science. So the teams have now gone on serious lockdown, trying to prevent the jammers from getting through that pack and earning the right to score. Good penalty kill from the Heartland Hellcats. They've been able to regain their full strength as Miss Maladjusted has come back out of the penalty box. And to their advantage, Grindin' Zone is the first one through, lead jammer, but Agent Smith is not far behind, only about 50. So Grindin' Zone for Front Range. And then after that, more periods of play. 30. Front number 1. Knocked into the infield. There's a break. Dynamite, as it should be. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for tuning in to ColoradoSports.TV for tonight's roller derby coverage. Yes, period clock has been corrected. 18 minutes and 40 seconds. Lined up on the jammer line, we've got number 7-2, Autumn Bomb for the Heartland Hellcats. Squared off against, for the first time in this game, number 132, Love Struck for Front Range Roller Derby. We're going to start one blocker short for the Heartland Hellcats. Their blocker, number 14, Nitro Glittern, is starting in the penalty box. Jam has begun. We see Lovestruck trying to get through on the inside line while Autumn Bomb tries the outside line. Neither one has a lot of success. Both are recycled. Now on the inside line, Autumn Bomb has more luck and gets through first. Lead jammer for the Heartland Hellcats. By my unofficial statistics, they've got 2/3 of the lead jammer calls in the game so far. Through the pack, getting 5 points, Autumn Bomb. So passing not only all 4 blockers, but the opposing jammer as well, earning what we call the jammer lap point. So, however, now Lovestruck has gotten out of the pack and is coming around to score. But first, before she can get into the pack for points, Autumn Bomb calls it off, picking up 1 more on the scoring pass. Total of 6 on the jam, taking the score to 40 for the Heartland Hellcats, 21 for Front Range Roller Derby. Coming up next, we've got another first-time jammer in the game for the Heartland Hellcats. It's number 9, Miss Maladjusted. Was the pivot earlier, but is now the jammer. Taking on number 8, Agent Smith for Front Range. Front Range in the black, Heartland Hellcats in the red. Pack moving through turn 2 into the straightaway, and the first jammer through is Agent Smith, lead jammer for Front Range. Last line of defense is Rocket Science, but Miss Maladjusted able to get past. Clear to score for Heartland. Agent Smith is not going to give them the opportunity, calling off the jam after picking up 4 points for Front Range. Takes the score to 40-25 in favor of the Heartland Hellcats. 16 minutes and change on the first period clock. Jamie Buffett taking the star now for the team from Nebraska, and for the home team, it's number 5280, Dynamite Lucy, whose jersey reads Dino. You will have noticed, and probably are well aware if you're an existing Derby fan, but if you're new to Derby, you will have noticed the interesting names that folks tend to use, and that's usually compounded by people building nicknames on top of their nicknames, such as Dino for Dynamite Lucy. One of the aspects of the sport that has made it one of the fastest growing sports in history. There are now well over 1,000 leagues worldwide on every continent but Antarctica, as far as I'm aware. I'm aware of a few teams in Africa, a number in Australia. Jamie Buffett bumped out of bounds and calls off the jam. Waiting for the score check here. Number 1862, Don't Be Trippin', is taking the star for the first time in the game for Front Range Roller Derby in the black. Number 1, Tearing It Up, is jamming in the red of the Heartland Hellcats from North Platte, Nebraska. I checked, it's like an 8-hour drive, so I'm impressed that they came down for this. But I was talking to Coach Chris earlier, and he said, that's compared to some of the places we have to go to get games, this is nothing. Lead jammer is number 1, Tearing It Up for the Heartland Hellcats. And coming out of the pack, Don't Be Trippin' is now clear to score for Front Range. So Tearing It Up calls it off before Don't Be Trippin' can get into the pack for points. 2 points collected by the Heartland Hellcats. Number 72, Autumn Bomb, taking the star for what, by my count, is the 3rd time in the game. Squared off against Agent Smith, who I think is the hardest working jammer out there at the moment. Agent Smith's 5th turn with the star. An official timeout is called. So that should again stop the clock, although the clock is continuing to run. We'll get the period clock issues sorted out here and get back on track. If you are curious about the rules under which these teams are playing, you can find them online at WFTDA.com. They will also be linked from the other 2 associations that use those rules, the Men's Roller Derby Association, MRDA, and the Junior Roller Derby Association, JRDA. Junior Roller Derby is ever growing. In fact, there will be a significant junior tournament held in this same venue, the Foothills Fieldhouse, just 2 weekends from tonight. So that's hosted by the Rocky Mountain Roller Punks. You can search around if you want to find out more about that. I'm not sure if there will be broadcast or not for that tournament. I'll probably find out because I'm supposed to help announce it. Geared up to skate in this next jam with the Jammer Stars. We still have Autumn Bomb, number 7-2, and Agent Smith, number 8. Agent Smith in the black of Front Range, Autumn Bomb in the red of the Heartland Hellcats. So, most modern roller derby leagues in this sport, a league is one organization, one group of people. Many leagues consist of both home teams and travel teams, and the travel teams compete against other leagues. And then the union of a number of leagues is the association. And the WFTDA, the Women's Flat Track Derby Association, is the one I'm most familiar with, as I've been affiliated with the WFTDA league for a number of years. They tend to have their playoffs and championships in the fall. But each league can also set their own home team season, which can take place pretty much whenever they want. As I mentioned earlier, Front Range Roller Derby is a pretty new organization. They're formed out of a merger between an existing WFTDA league, the Castle Rock and Rollers, from Castle Rock, Colorado, and 303 Roller Derby, which was a rebranding of Southside Roller Derby, which was a more recreational league here in the Denver area. But this new organization, Front Range, has opted to keep their WFTDA membership and work to the point where they can once again engage in competitive interleague play. For now, they've kind of put their charter team on hold, they've said, for about 6 months while they get organized and figure out how they're going to take that on. The top leagues in the WFTDA are the ones that are selected to compete at the playoffs and in order to earn a spot in the championship tournament. The WFTDA has 2 playoffs and 1 championship tournament just announced for this fall. The playoffs will be in Northwest Spain, actually. And then, let's see, the other one, oh, I should know this. I'm drawing a blank, I'm sorry. But the championship, I know, will be in New Orleans. And so that will be exciting for many folks. The period clock is stopped at 10 minutes and 55 seconds until halftime. Got a cluster of people trying to figure out how to get things sorted out on the scoreboard computer here. Thank you for your patience while that is taken care of. So I think they're getting things sorted out now and maybe getting somebody with a little bit more familiarity with the scoreboard program to take care of that. We appreciate your patience as this all gets sorted out. A few tidbits from the WFTDA rule set and some things you might be looking for. Certainly watch for people to be trying to get through on the inside line. That's where the jammers tend to have the most success. And the more athletic jammers might even try to leap over the inside of the track. That's called an apex jump. That didn't happen this time, but we did get Agent Smith getting through first and earning lead for Front Range, and already most of the way around to get into scoring position. Autumn Bomb is now clear of the pack for the Heartland Hellcats coming around, but Agent Smith is paying attention, has earned 3 points, and has called it off. If you pass all 4 blockers, that's 4 points. That's probably the most common score on a scoring pass. If you've also lapped the opposing jammer, that's a 5th point, and we usually refer to 5-point passes as grand slams, since that's the most you can easily earn in a single scoring pass. We've got Dynamite Lucy, number 5280, with the star for Front Range, taking on number 9, Miss Maladjusted, with the star for the Heartland Hellcats. Both jammers are held within the pack. The pack is moving now into turn number 3, coming around in front of me into what we call turn number 4. Making a break for it, it is number 9, Miss Maladjusted, lead jammer for Heartland. The star has been passed by Front Range to number 86. That is Biff Brawler, who was the pivot and has become the jammer. But Biff is not going to get a chance to score, as getting through the pack and earning 4 points, Miss Bell-Adjusted calls off the jam. So that is the standard method of play, is to try and get out, earn lead, get through the pack, prevent your opponents from scoring any more points by calling off the jam. Period clock now reads under 10 minutes until halftime. Number 29, Jamie Buffett, has the star for Heartland, and number 132, Lovestruck, for Front Range. And now it's a team timeout being called by Red, in other words, the Heartland Hellcats. That should stop the clock for 60 seconds. So we'll see what happens there. There's been an extraordinary number of official and team timeouts called during the course of this game. Let's take a look at some of my unofficial statistics. So far, the high scorer for the evening is number 29, Jamie Buffett, who holds the star now with 19 points. And on the other side of the scoreboard, number 8, Agent Smith, has 12 points for Front Range. Heartland Hellcats have managed to pick up about 2/3 of the lead calls in the game so far, with 1/3 going to Front Range. That's the points and the percentage of lead calls are usually pretty well correlated, but you will find certain circumstances where a team is able to earn more of the points, even if they're not the ones who get most of the lead calls. And usually that's because they have a smaller number of jams where they score, but they pile on a bunch of points when they do. Our next jam is underway. And lead has been designated as number 29, Jamie Buffett. Jamie Buffett so far, according to my unofficial score, it has 4 for 4 on lead calls, 100% percentage. Very nice. Jamie Buffett gets through the pack just as 132 Lovestruck does. Jamie Buffett gets up in front to try and earn the jammer lap point, and in fact is awarded that 5 points on the jam for the Heartland Hellcats. Should take them to 57 points. We'll see if the scoreboard gets adjusted here. There it is. So 57-28 with about 7.5 minutes to play until halftime. Number 8, Grindin' Zone, jamming for Heartland. Number 8, Agent Smith, working very hard during the course of this evening to pick up points for Front Range. Pushing at the top of the pack. So you do have to stay within a certain distance of the pack. Grindin' Zone is lead for Heartland, but Agent Smith is right behind. So both are hustling to get into the pack. And I think that Agent Smith might have picked up a couple of points. Yes, okay, 1 point for Agent Smith and 3 for Grindin' Zone. So an official review has been called by Front Range. I mentioned earlier, each team gets an official review per period that they can call to contest or question a call or the lack of a call made during the course of play. Or if they so desire, they can actually just use it as an extra timeout. If they do successfully contest some play, then they get it back and they can use it again during the course of that period. So if we're very lucky, I might hear what the official review is about. More likely, I will not. As I say, they're concentrating on keeping things running over there. The official review, like any of the official timeouts, lasts as long as is necessary for the officials to figure out what's going on and to explain it back to the teams. So what's just happened is that the officials have told the teams what they're going to figure out, and then they've gone off to figure it out. And then in a few moments here, they'll come back and inform the captains of their decision. Please do find more information about each of these teams on Facebook. And for more information on the Women's Flat Track Derby Association and the rules that they're playing under, you can go to WFTDA.com. I will be very interested to see how Front Range puts together a charter team to compete in interleague play. There are several hundred teams now in the WFTDA, and even more who are not members of the WFTDA. That applies, for instance, to the Heartland Hellcats. They are not members, but they play by the rule set. And so they have lots of potential opponents out there. They're doing quite well tonight in the first period of this game, 60-29 in their favor so far. 6.5 minutes to play until halftime. And that whistle just now indicated the end of the official review, and we're back to playing. We got number 29, Jamie Buffett, jamming for Heartland Hellcats, and number 86, Biff Brawler, who earlier took a star pass for Front Range, is actually starting off with the star this time, and gets around the outside of the pack. So lead jammer is Jamie Buffett, but Biff Brawler also cleared a score and accelerating towards the back of the pack. Jamie Buffett calls it off, but I think Biff rolling, so to speak, sorry, not intended, in about 2004. Since then, hundreds of teams have joined the WFTDA, and hundreds more have formed just to play on their own terms. Here in the Colorado region, there's roller derby all up and down the Front Range. There's leagues up in the mountains, in Salida, in Eagle, Colorado. I think there's some in Grand Junction. No shortage of places to find roller derby in the modern world. So now the officials are explaining to the teams what's going on here. They're gearing up for the next jam. 5 minutes and 21 seconds on the period clock. And so that whistle has ended the timeout. The next whistle will start the jam. There it goes. Up the outside line, ducking to the inside, and then trying on the outside again. Number 3, Intensive Scare, is the first jammer through, lead jammer for Heartland. For Front Range, Dynamite Lucy trying to get through the middle of the pack, being held back by the Heartland jammers. And a grand slam, 5 points picked up by Intensive Scare, passing all 4 blockers plus the jammer. Dino is now out of the pack and clear to score for Front Range. Another clean scoring pass for Intensive Scare, who calls it off. Should be 4 more points. And that's what I'm seeing. So that should be a 9-0 jam in favor of Heartland, taking the score to 69-31. And that indeed is what we're seeing on the scoreboard, with 4 minutes and change until halftime. Jamie Buffett, number 29, taking the star yet again for Heartland against Agent Smith for Front Range. These are the 2 hardest working jammers out there. It's their 6th and 7th turns with the star, respectively, in the game so far. Agent Smith is the first one through, lead jammer for Front Range, but only narrowly ahead of Jamie Buffett, who's trying to overtake Agent Smith, but unable to do so. There's still about a 10-foot lead for Agent Smith. Agent Smith is bumped into the outfield, calls off the jam, but we'll see how the point tally goes. The points are collected until the 4th whistle of the call-off. And we see 4 points for red. And is that all of the points? I haven't seen any points awarded to Front Range. There does seem to be an official timeout stopping the clock at 3 minutes and 15 seconds to go. The scoreboard reads 73-31, which is consistent with no points for Front Range on that previous jam. Okay, number 84, Grindin Zone to jam in the red against number 86, Biff Brawler in the black. Grindin Zone wasting no time getting through for lead. Clock rolling again, down to about 3 minutes to play. The last jam of a period will not be interrupted if the period clock expires. The last jam of the period always reaches its natural conclusion. So Grindin Zone through the pack, that would be good for 4 points, but trying to pass a Biff Brawler to earn that 5th jammer lap point, I don't think she's done it. I think that's going to be a 4-point jam. Yes, 4 points awarded to Heartland. Takes the score to 77-31. 2.5 minutes on the clock. Dynamite Lucy back on the jammer line for Front Range, taking on Jamie Buffett, who is back on the line after only 1 jam away for Heartland. Teams are on the defensive here. They're trying to not let either of the jammers through, but finding an inside track. Jamie Buffett, lead jammer for Heartland. Dino out of the pack, cleared his score for Front Range, but has half the track to make up before she can earn any points. So points for Jamie Buffett, and calling it off. 5 were awarded. That has just been corrected to 4 points, which makes more sense because, as I said, Dynamite Lucy did make it out of the pack. Nevertheless, a respectable 50-point lead for the visiting team. They give the star to number 9, Miss Maladjusted. The home team has given the star back to number 8, Agent Smith. Agent Smith is the first one out, lead jammer for Front Range. The pack remains back in turn number 2, now heading into the straightaway. Defense able to contain Miss Maladjusted so far during the course of this jam. And Agent Smith makes it through the pack. That should be 5 for Front Range, and calling it off. I'd have thought that Agent Smith would have tried to get a few more points on that jam, but chose to call it off. Just enough time in the period to run 1 more jam. Maybe that was the intent, is to squeeze 1 more jam in. Number 29, Jamie Buffett, is going to jam for Heartland against Dynamite Lucy for Front Range. The period clock having now expired, whenever this jam ends, we will go into halftime. So Dynamite Lucy has removed the jammer cap to try and pass it to the pivot. Whether she passes it or not, she's now ineligible to earn lead. And in fact, lead is picked up by Jamie Buffett, who is the first jammer out. Now, it's not clear whether Dynamite Lucy has in fact passed the star or not. Looks like she did, but the pivot, Biff Brawler, has been penalized. 5 points earned by Jamie Buffett on that scoring pass. So Biff Brawler now the jammer for this jam for Front Range, but It's a power play because only one jammer is on the track right now. That jammer, Jamie Buffett, picks up another 5-point pass for Front Range. I'm sorry, for Heartland. Jamie Buffett already back in the pack, earning more points. Hasn't yet completed the scoring pass. And now out of the pack, calling it off. 5 final points on the jam, total of 15 for the Heartland Hellcats. Will take us into halftime with a score of 96-36, advantage visiting team. And so we're going to have, we've got apparently 15 minutes on the halftime clock. We'll come back just a little bit before that halftime clock expires to bring you period 2 of this game between the Heartland Hellcats from North Platte, Nebraska, and Front Range Roller Derby here from Lakewood and Castle Rock, Colorado. Welcome back, friends of roller derby, to ColoradoSports.TV coverage of tonight's game between the Heartland Hellcats from North Platte, Nebraska, and the host league, Front Range Roller Derby here in both Lakewood and Castle Rock, Colorado. We are at the Foothills Fieldhouse in Lakewood, Colorado, the northern of those locations. My name is Mark Bradford. I'll be bringing tonight's events to you. We are at halftime, at the very end of halftime, gearing up for our second 30-minute period of play. Heartland Hellcats with a comfortable 60-point lead over the home team. A few of my highly unofficial statistics from the first period. 70% of the lead calls going to the Heartland Hellcats, 30% to Front Range. And the majority of the points on the left side of the scoreboard picked up by Jamie Buffett, number 29, who has 47 points. On the other side, Agent Smith, number 8, has picked up 18 points for Front Range. Not coincidentally, I'm sure those two jammers are the two jammers on the line right now. Agent Smith, number 8, in the black of Front Range. Jamie Buffett, number 29, in the red of Heartland. And it's Jamie Buffett who's through first, lead jammer, although Agent Smith now is through the pack as well and clear to score for Heartland. Pack moving fairly rapidly. Jamie Buffett just now catching up. A little bit of an apex jump there. Calling off the jam. Probably going to be 4 points. And indeed, we'll see that tallied up on the scoreboard here. There we go. An even 100 points now for the Heartland Hellcats from North Platte, Nebraska. Lined up to jam in the red. It's number 3, Intensive Scare for Heartland, and number 5280, Dynamite Lucy, a.k.a. Dino, for Front Range. Next jam is underway. Your view is coming from turn number 1 of the track. Through the pack, lead jammer, Intensive Scare. Able to call off the jam at any time by tapping her hips. You do that to prevent your opponent from scoring any more points than they already have. We have 5-on-5 players on the track. Nobody in the penalty box at this moment. And a 5-point pass as Intensive Scare passes all 4 blockers from the opposing team, plus the jammer. A star pass from Dynamite Lucy to the pivot with the striped pivot cover, striped helmet cover, number 86, Biff Brawler for Front Range. But getting into the pack, Intensive Scare calling off the jam with 2 points. 1 point was picked up by Dynamite Lucy, by Biff Brawler, who took the star pass from Dynamite Lucy. So, score goes to 1-0. I think, there it is, 107-37. And let's see. Jamming now. We got back to Jamie Buffett. Lead jammer for Front Range. And I seem to have messed up my own unofficial stats program. That's okay, I'll fix it later. Jamie Buffett is jamming against number 1862, Don't Be Trippin' for Front Range. Jamie Buffett, lead jammer, picks up 5 points on that scoring pass. Front Range trying to spread out the pack, but they're not allowed to get too far away from the pack or they will be penalized for what's called destroying the pack. 4 points now for Jamie Buffett on that scoring pass. Star has been passed to Metalix, number 2 for Front Range. So Metalix now the jammer. I get the impression that, although it's only at the third jam of the period, that Front Range is going to try passing the Star a bit more. Another 4 points for Jamie Buffett, calling off the jam. Score stands now at 121-37. Advantage visiting team. Lined up now in the black of Front Range. Number 8, Agent Smith, opposed by number 84, Grindin Zone. We're already nearly 5 minutes into our second period of play. Only a single header tonight, so only one game for you guys to watch here on ColoradoSports.TV. Lead jammer is Grindin Zone. Agent Smith is out of the pack, approaching the back of the pack. Grindin Zone tries to get it called off. 3 points for red, 1 point stolen by Agent Smith. If you're wondering how points are scored in the game, it is tallied by the hips. So watch for the passage of the hips to figure out if somebody has passed an opponent or not. Back to number 5280, Dynamite Lucy with the Star for Front Range, taking on number 72, Autumn Bomb, who jammed a few times in the first period. This is her first turn with the Star in the second period of the game. Both jammers are bumped to the infield where they have to recycle back behind the other skaters to avoid a penalty called cutting the track, where you improve your position relative to the other players while you're out of bounds. First jammer through is Dynamite Lucy, a.k.a. Dino, lead jammer going to Front Range for the first time in this period. Autumn Bomb out of the pack now and clear to score for Heartland. On advice from the sidelines, as well as knowing what's going on, Dynamite Lucy calls off the jam, earning 4 unanswered points for Front Range. It's going to take the score to 124-42, with 24 minutes to play in our second and final period of the game. Another first-time jammer on the line now. It's number 7, Overlord for Front Range. Okay, a timeout has been called. I believe I heard official review. Yes, there's the signal for official review by Red, Heartland Hellcats. Each team with 1 official review per period, although they get it back if they're successful. Unfortunately, I don't have any of what Harry Potter fans would call extensible ears, so I can't exactly listen in to the conversation going on in the center of the track there. But certainly we'll see if any changes occur on the scoreboard or in the lineup on the track. Geared up to jam in the next jam. I mentioned number 7, Overlord for Front Range. And if I'm seeing correctly, it's number 9, Miss Maladjusted, who will be jamming for the Heartland Hellcats. You can find these teams online. You can go to www.heartlandhellcats.com to find the Heartland Hellcats, strangely enough, up in North Platte, Nebraska, about an 8-hour drive from here. And then go to facebook.com/Front Range Roller Derby for Front Range Roller Derby. making themselves fairly easy to find online. Front Range, a recent merger between the Castle Rock and Rollers from Castle Rock, Colorado, and 303 Roller Derby from here on the south side of the Denver metro area. We are coming to you from the Foothills Fieldhouse in Lakewood, Colorado, site of quite a bit of roller derby these days. In 2 weeks, there will be a junior roller derby tournament here, but I do not know whether or not that will be streamed online. Teams appear to be returning to the track. Scoreboard still reads 124-42. Stopped at 23 minutes and 45 seconds to go in the game. So the teams here, I'll mention again that Front Range formed out of a merger. One of the parent teams, the Castle Rock and Rollers, were members of the Women's Flat Track Derby Association, and I've been informed that they intend to keep their charter status there. So they will be taking part in competitive play at some point in the not too distant future. Next jam is underway with Miss Maladjusted, number 9, at the front of the pack, trying to get through for Heartland. Way at the back of the pack here, number 7, Overlord, trying to make another run at it. Miss Maladjusted is through, is lead jammer, therefore has the right to call off the jam at any time. The jam goes until the officials blow the 4th whistle, and so you have to be kind of careful with your timing. If you're cutting it close, the other team can grab some points while those whistles are going on. But here, Miss Maladjusted calls off the jam with plenty of time to go. That's going to be 4 points for Heartland, taking them to 128 to Front Range's 42. Correct my official scoreboard here where I made an error. All right. 22 minutes and a half to play in the game. Autumn Bomb, number 72, going to be jamming again for Heartland after only 1 jam away. Agent Smith, number 8, has the star in the black of Front Range. Agent Smith goes to the outside, finds a path there, but is a little bit too late. Autumn Bomb already declared lead, although Agent Smith is out in front. So Autumn Bomb smartly calling off the jam there in a defensive fashion. No points going to be scored on that jam. So your view is from what we call turn number 1. You're looking at usually the pivots with the striped helmet covers are the ones who start off at the very front of the pack. The jammers with the star helmet covers start up behind the pack and have to make their way through once to earn the right to score and then earn points as they lap their opponents. Number 1, tearing it up, jamming for the first time in this period for Heartland. Taking on it's Dino again, number 5280, Dynamite Lucy for Front Range. Dino recycled through the infield of turn number 1. Tearing it up, also struggling to find some purchase at the front of the pack. Intensive Scare, able to push Dino into the outfield. Dino has to recycle to avoid the track cutting penalty. Tearing it up has all 4 Front Range blockers to contend with at the front of the pack. The whole pack has moved a full lap on the track now, back over the jammer line into starting position. Tearing it up has been declared lead jammer and is just now successfully out of the pack. Still has to make it around and pass opponents to earn points. Dynamite Lucy has gotten out of the pack and is cleared a score for Front Range. Tearing it up through the pack, calls off the jam, and is awarded 4 points. That should take the score to 132-42. There it is. 20 minutes to play. I again refer you to WFTDA.com for more information on the rule set under which these teams are playing. And we've got number 29, Jamie Buffett, on the line for Heartland through the pack, and lead jammer. Number 7, Overlord, with the star in what I believe is the second time in the game for Front Range. Heartland's pivot, who happens to be Autumn Bomb, has been penalized, has to sit down for 30 seconds. Overlord out of the pack, cleared to score for Front Range. Jamie Buffett in the pack, earning points for Heartland. Calls it off before Overlord can score. It's 5 points have been awarded. And that is now reflected on the scoreboard. Agent Smith, number 8, back to the line for Front Range in the black. Number 9, Miss Maladjusted on the jammer line for Heartland in the red. This is Agent Smith's 11th time out there with the star. Working hard tonight. A forearm penalty, though, is going to put Miss Maladjusted into the penalty box. You may not block with your elbows, forearms, hands, or head. That's a power play favoring Front Range. Agent Smith is through for lead. This is an opportunity for Front Range to close the gap a bit between themselves and the visiting team. However, the downside of it being a power play is that the Heartland blockers are able to concentrate exclusively on defense, so they made it kind of hard for Agent Smith to get through. Agent Smith did get through, picked up 5 points. Miss Maladjusted is standing in the penalty box. That means fewer than 10 seconds from now, she'll re-enter the track. In fact, right now, the penalty has expired. Still on an initial pass, and just now successful in completing an initial pass. Still yet to score. 5 more points for Agent Smith, who looks like she's going to wait for the right moment and then call it off. Yes, that's exactly what happens. Manages to get it called off before Miss Maladjusted picks up any points. So that's going to be an 8-0 jam favoring the home team. Actually, a 10-0 jam. 2 grand slams. 17 minutes to play in the game. Once again, thank you for tuning in to ColoradoSports.TV. Coming to you from the Foothills Fieldhouse in Lakewood, Colorado, I'm Mark Bradford. Number 5280, Dino to jam for Front Range. Number 29, Jamie Buffett, jamming for Heartland Hellcats. Jamie Buffett through first, lead jammer. Dynamite Lucy has removed the star and, in fact, now passed it to the pivot, Biff Brawler, who is now the new pivot for Front Range. You do need to have the star on your head to score points, but you don't need it on your head to get through the pack for the first time, and that's what's happened with Biff Brawler. Now, 5 points were awarded to Jamie Buffett. That's been corrected to 4 points. There's 4 points for Biff Brawler. Four more for Biff Brawler. And one total of 10 points for the Heartland Hellcats. They have called time out. So let me catch up here. We got 147 to 64 on the scoreboard, with the clock stopped at 15 minutes and 1 second, just about exactly halfway through our second period of play. And I once again refer you to heartlandhellcats.com and facebook.com/Front Range Roller Derby for more information on the two teams you're seeing play tonight. I will be watching Front Range Roller Derby. I've guest announced a number of times in the past for the Castle Rock and Rollers, one of the parent teams. And I know some of these skaters from around the Denver area in the past. In fact, it's been a little while, but the new jammer for Front Range right there, number 2, Metal Licks, was once a member of my home league, Denver Roller Derby. Number 84, Grind has the star. They're out at almost the same time. Lead has been awarded to Grindin Zone, but Metalix is right there as well. Grindin Zone going to try and grab a couple points before calling it off. Looks like 1 point going up on the red side of the board. Pretty quick jam there, only 30 seconds off the period clock. And then there will be another 30 seconds of lineup time. We see Agent Smith taking the star yet again for Front Range, and Jamie Buffett yet again for Heartland. This is each jammer's 12th time with the star in the game. By my highly unofficial statistics, Jamie Buffett has about a 90% lead percentage. However, that has just been reduced to 83% because Agent Smith is lead jammer for Front Range. Jamie Buffett also cleared his score. And so Agent Smith smartly gets it called off before Jamie Buffett can score and is good for 4 points for Front Range. Takes them to 68 on the board. Number 9, Miss Maladjusted, is up next in the red of Heartland. And in the black of Front Range, number 5280, Dynamite Lucy. Dynamite Lucy trying the outside line. For that matter, so is Miss Maladjusted. Neither one finding a whole lot of purchase. Miss Maladjusted is going to try the inside line this time, having a little more success, but still not out of the pack. And in fact, now bumped into the infield, where she'll have to try again. Squeezing through at the front of the pack, it is Miss Maladjusted out first, lead jammer for Heartland. A star pass to number 86, Biff Brawler, who's taken quite a few star passes during the course of this game. But Biff is not going to get the chance to score, as Miss Maladjusted grabs 4 points. No, it is 5 being awarded, and calls off the jam. 12 minutes to play. Thanks once again for tuning into ColoradoSports.TV for tonight's game, brought to you from Lakewood, Colorado, the Foothills Fieldhouse. Hosted by Front Range Roller Derby, hosting the Heartland Hellcats from North Platte, Nebraska. Number 917, Princess Pow Pow, jamming for Front Range. First time in a little while there. Taking on Jamie Buffett, who's back on the jammer line after only one jam away. Jamie Buffett's through first, lead jammer. But now Princess Pow Pow is not too far behind, maybe a quarter of a turn behind Jamie Buffett on the track. So the pack is taking an increased pace, so we'll see what Jamie Buffett's able to do here. Does get it called off before Princess Pow Pow can score, I believe. Yes, it is a 4-0 jam favoring the Heartland Hellcats. Grindin Zone, number 8-4 with the star in red. And in black, it's number 8, Agent Smith. Agent Smith responsible for the Lions' share of Front Range's points so far in the game, by my tally. And Agent Smith is in for, or is through for lead. Grindin Zone out of the pack as well, but over half a track behind. So plenty of time for Agent Smith to get it called off here. Interesting. Agent Smith opts not to call it off. Grindin Zone, I believe, is picking up points. That's going to be 5 points for Agent Smith. So in this case, that strategy seems to be paying off because Agent Smith is already back in for a third scoring pass. A 4-point pass collected by Grindin Zone. Agent Smith calls it off now, having picked up on this pass 3 points. So that'll be a total of 12-4 on the jam by my count. And that is reflected on the scoreboard as well, 161-80 with just over 9 minutes to play. So I would say that was a good call there by Agent Smith, keeping the jam going in that previous jam. Number 3, Intensive Scare with the star for Heartland. Number 2, Metalix with the star for Front Range. Up front in the red, it is Intensive Scare through first, lead jammer, but Metalix is through the pack as well and in hot pursuit. So this will be a very interesting judgment call. Intensive Scare calls it off. Did 2 points awarded to Front Range and 1 for Heartland. So it actually ends up going in favor of the home team. 162-82, still a significant lead for the visitors. And with only 8 minutes to play, that's not too likely to change. Number 52-80, Dino, that is to say Dynamite Lucy, is going to jam against, for the first time in this game, number 99, Maiden Payne, who has the star for the Heartland Hellcats. Has not jammed before now. Maiden Payne is pushing up at the top of the pack. Dino is at the back of the pack right now. Whole pack is moving through turn number 1. Maiden Payne trying to get out of the pack, but pushed to the infield and has to recycle to avoid the track cutting penalty. Whole pack moving down the straightaway towards turn number 3. Neither jammer through yet. Both still on their initial passes. Some tough blocking, but Maiden Payne finally makes it through. However, not declared lead. So, no lead jammer as yet. I believe Dynamite Lucy might still be eligible for that. No, looks like Dynamite Lucy has removed the helmet cover and is therefore ineligible. The star has been passed to number 169, Rocket Science. First time with the star for Rocket. So with neither jammer being lead, this jam's going to go the full 2 minutes, of which about 38 seconds remain. Both jammers are eligible to score. 4 picked up by Maiden Payne. Rocket Science gets through the pack for 4 for Front Range. 13 seconds might be enough time for another scoring pass. Might not be. 4 more picked up by Maiden Payne. Total of 8 on the jam so far. So we'll see if any are awarded to Rocket Science. No. It was deemed that no hips were passed before that jam expired. So the score stands now at 170 to 86, advantage visitors, just under 6 minutes to play. This period moving a little bit more rapidly. We had a number of both official and team timeouts during the course of the first period. Things are a little smoother now. So number 29, Jamie Buffett, to jam now for Heartland. And number 53, Tragic, taking the star for Front Range. I believe Tragic took a star pass earlier, but I think this might be her first time starting on the jammer line. Regardless, Tragic is the first jammer through and lead jammer for Front Range. And hitting the jets, coming around rapidly to the back of the pack. Now on a scoring pass, Front Range has a 4-wall across the track, holding back Jamie Buffett. That lets Tragic through for 5. Jamie Buffett now trying on the inside line, but bumped into the infield, has to try again. Tragic is bumped into the outfield and is going to take another pass at the pack. Tragic managing to stay in bounds there and all the way out of the pack. Probably good for 5. Yes, there are the 5 points. So 10 so far on the jam for Front Range. Star has been passed by Heartland to number 84, Grindin Zone, who's made it out of the pack but is not going to get the opportunity to score, as Tragic is going to grab 4 more points and call off the jam. 14 points on the jam, taking Front Range to triple digits, 100 points. 4 minutes to play. You see number 8, Agent Smith, yet again on the jammer line for Front Range. Taking on number 0, Whiplash Wanda, with a star for the first time. A timeout has been called by Heartland, so that's going to stop the clock at 3 minutes and 40-ish seconds. So the clock is now stopped at 3 minutes and 34 seconds. We'll see how that... Let's see if that holds up. The score is 170 to 100. Advantage visiting team Heartland Hellcats from North Platte, Nebraska. A number of years ago, I was able to see a game at the Pershing Center in Lincoln, Nebraska. In fact, that was one of my first away trips for roller derby. The Pershing Center no longer exists, is my understanding, which is a shame because it was a pretty good venue for roller derby. But it has closed, and I think it was demolished. Same jammers do still stand at the jammer line. Number 8, Agent Smith in the black of Front Range. Number 0, Whiplash Wanda in the red of Heartland. Whistle blows, jam's underway. Whiplash Wanda through first, lead jammer. Pushing on the outside, Agent Smith not quite able to get through. There's an opportunity. Agent Smith is out, but a full half lap behind Whiplash Wanda. Wanda now coming into the pack for points. Passes all jammers, I believe, but has not gotten it called off yet. Now calls it off. Has Agent Smith gotten a point or not? 1 point for Agent Smith. And 4 for Whiplash Wanda. Takes the score to 174 to 101. Now under 3 minutes on the period clock. Dino, number 5280. That is to say, Dynamite Lucy with the star for Front Range. Jamie Buffett, number 29, out there for Heartland. Another couple of hard-working jammers here. Dynamite Lucy on her 14th jam and Jamie Buffett on the 15th. And Jamie is through first, lead jammer for Heartland. Oh, a smooth pass on the inside. That should be good for 5, and it is. Dynamite Lucy removed the jammer cap, got out of the pack, put it back on. You're allowed to do that. It makes you ineligible for lead, but Dino is already ineligible for lead. So a second pass for 4 points for Jamie Buffett, calling off the jam. 9 points on the jam. Under 2 minutes on the period clock now, which means this next jam could be the last one of the game. Might also be able to squeeze in another one if it's a short jam. Intensive Scare, number 3, with the star for Heartland. And number 86, Biff Brawler, is going to jam for Front Range. Thank you again for tuning in to ColoradoSports.TV coverage of tonight's roller derby event from the Foothills Fieldhouse in Lakewood, Colorado. Lead jammer up to the front of out and is clear to score. Biff Brawler chooses not to call it off at this time. Intensive Scare into the pack, scoring points. And in fact, Intensive Scare is the first one through, is awarded 5 points. Biff now completes a scoring pass for 4 points and continues to skate. Period clock closing in on 0. So it looks like this may well be the last jam of this game. Period clock has expired, so this is definitely the last jam of the game. And Biff calling it off. Final point tally. 4 for Front Range and another 5 for Heartland. And so my tally matching the scoreboard shows 193 to 109. A victory for the visiting Heartland Hellcats from North Platte, Nebraska. And once the officials confirm that with the scorekeepers, we'll mark that as the official final score. A few more points going up on Heartland's tally. 4 more, in fact. And so once we get the final tally here, okay, that whistle there should mark it as official. And we're going to see the Heartland Hellcats take a victory lap so that the crowd and their opponents can congratulate them on surviving not only an 8-hour drive down from Nebraska to Colorado, but also for surviving 60 minutes of a roller derby and coming off with the win. And then once Heartland has completed their lap here, we should see the Front Range skaters taking a consolation lap to thank the crowd for coming out to support them here at the Foothills Fieldhouse. And thank you, friends of roller derby, for tuning in to ColoradoSports.TV to witness tonight's game. The formation you see there that Heartland is taking it's called the London Bridge. The London Roller Girls created the tradition of forming that for their opponents after a hard-fought game of roller derby. So congratulations to the Heartland Hellcats of North Platte, Nebraska. Thanks to them for coming down. Thanks to Front Range Roller Derby for hosting them. Thanks to ColoradoSports.TV for broadcasting this event. My name is Mark Bradford. It has been my pleasure to bring you tonight's action.